Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Coal Creek Park. Today we're taking things at a little bit slower pace for some of the video, that is, not the whole thing. Doing videos a little bit differently this time. I'm going to try and commentate some more throughout the whole video and slow it down and show you some details. I appreciate everyone's feedback so far throughout the series, and I appreciate you joining along. So here we are in our little front entrance plaza area going through our ticket booths. Those blank screens will eventually have some ticket prices and advertisements and whatnot, but here we are in our very, very barren front entrance way. Yeah, looking at this, you're probably thinking to yourself, dang, he hasn't done anything since episode 3, and that's for up here. That's true. I didn't really do anything. I just didn't have the inspiration for it. I did this shanty shack that we ended with in the last episode, and I just didn't have the inspiration for anything up front there, and I didn't want to half butt it, so I moved to the center of the park, if you will, and started work on this. This is the start of a roller coaster area, wooden roller coaster area that is, and this is kind of a front focal point for that. Still going off that theme that we had in the front of the park there, kind of the abandoned mine shack area. And this is how we got there. I always start with landscaping whenever I do one of these, whenever I'm doing a park, I always start with landscaping. I don't like to have a flat park. That's not traditionally accurate when you look at theme parks, or just really anywhere in general. If somewhere is completely flat, that is intentionally done. And true to form, I was looking at a lot of real life parks through YouTube videos, and especially Kennywood. I got kind of fixated on Kennywood this week for whatever reason. I've never been there personally, but just the way that that park is laid out, I believe it's Kennywood. If not, then I'm gonna sound like a doofus. But I believe it's really like hilly and kind of rough terrain a little bit, and I just took some inspiration from that as I was building this area, and just in general, especially with if I have a quote-unquote flat section, I will take the roughen tool and kind of set it at a low percentage, but just kind of click rough it across the terrain. So when I put a path down and you kind of are looking at it from guest level, you can see divots and little bumps and even little hills that are in the terrain, or in the path. And that's very true to form in real life as well. I noticed that, like I said, in the Kennywood walkthrough, that even those that are disabled and have wheelchairs would kind of have to deal with it, I guess. That sounds bad. I don't want to say deal with it, but it is what it is, where the path is uneven. So yeah, taking a lot of inspiration from real life parks in that sense, and keeping it kind of rougher. But here we are. You saw a little sneak peek there of building the coaster, the rock bolter. The rock bolter is taken from a real-life mythological creature, and I'm starting to laugh because I'm just thinking about it, and this is completely true and completely real. You can Google this. It's a Colorado mythological creature where miners and lumberjacks back in the 1800s would come back from their expeditions saying that they lost men, as in like they were killed, from a giant whale that would cruise down the mountainside and hook men. Oh, I forgot that part. The whale has hooks for fin now, so metal hooks. So the whale would come down on its belly down the mountainside on the rocks, and it would hook men and then eat them. So yeah, there you go. That's the theme for this coaster, and I dig it. It's something unique. It works, sure, but yeah, so here's building the coaster building. I don't have a video per se of the actual building of the coaster. I have several, but this coaster went through many iterations. I couldn't get it how I really wanted it to, and I'm a stickler for trying to get it perfect, I guess. And I really wanted this coaster to have a few sections to it and really have a nice flow and everything, and it just wasn't getting it how I initially had it. So in order for me to upload a consistent video, it would have been almost impossible. It would have been too jarring, and just what we have is what we have. I will absolutely record the next few coasters that we do build. But if you were to run over to Twitch, I shameless plug, right? I do a lot of Twitch streaming, and I did build most of this coaster live on Twitch. So yeah, if you're ever over in that area, neck of the woods, go ahead and look me up. But here we are, looking over a nice outdoor seating area for our restaurant in this coaster plaza area, which most of what you're seeing, actually all of what you're seeing in this outdoor seating area is placeholder as of now until the 1.4 update comes around, where we will be getting our picnic benches and whatnots to make great food plazas. So that will definitely be going back there where the I really like how that turned out, how it's a nice little overhang cliff that's looking over the coaster and whatever else will eventually be in that backdrop. So that's a great little restaurant area there. And I'd just like to also touch on my ideas overall, especially for this coaster area. And I keep saying coaster area because in my research this week, and just kind of thinking back in general to when I go to parks, you typically notice that bigger rides, roller coasters, dark rides, what have yous, they aren't typically, how do I explain it, not off like the main path. Whereas if you had like a small whatever flat ride, it might just have like its queue line just off the main path. But bigger rides, again, such as big wooden roller coasters or big giga coasters, they usually have like a whole area dedicated to them, almost a whole land, if you will, especially in amusement parks that don't focus on lands. Their lands, quote unquote again, are their big coasters. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this coaster area. So it has its own restaurant, it has its own locker system, it has its own, restrooms, everything that a guest would need, gift shops, everything, it's all up in this area to attract them. It's all themed around the coaster, again taking from real life. You often see this. So yeah, that's kind of the inspiration I have for this. And I do want to apologize. I did notice that there's a few moments where I paused there. I remember specifically recording this when I was recording it, that I was going to have to edit the crap out of it because my girlfriend and I are currently in the process of moving from Colorado to Wisconsin, and we are selling our apartment. So I was getting mad text messages and whatnot during that time of people asking if they could come and see the apartment, which at the time I really couldn't say no, but I was also really playing Planet Coaster, so I just kind of left Planet Coaster running in the background as I was showing people the apartment. And so that's I had to do a heck of a lot of editing. I got real familiar with my new editing software while I was doing this video. Let me tell you, I had to cut out so much to make it cohesive. There were literally parts where it was 40 times sped up and 5 minutes almost, it seemed like. Yeah, it was around 5 minutes where, just empty staring at one thing. So that's where all my hours of Planet Coaster get wrapped up into, I suppose, right? Yeah, just kind of finishing up this little coaster area. The lockers I got from the workshop. The workshop, and I definitely wanted to include that in there, and I'm glad someone made them. They're really, really great. I'm sorry, I forget who made them, but if you type in lockers on the workshop, they're like the first one that comes up. Boom, there, I still got it. But yeah, so I really wanted the lockers, and yeah, that kind of wraps up this area. We're gonna go ahead and go on a ride on the coaster here in just a minute, and go visit the Rock Bolter. There's a little sneak peek of the Rock Bolter himself. I know it looks a lot like a Kraken, but it's not. It's a Rock Bolter. Don't get it confused, okay? Come on. There's a little bit of a story with this coaster. I like to think that there's like 4 different parts. The first part that we're going to go on is very tranquil, kind of smooth up into the chain lift. That's purposeful. I'm gonna add in some nice birdie chirpy noises, and yay, everything is great, right? And then kind of plunges down into a wooded forest where things ramp up a bit, and finally into a chase scene where you're finally being chased by the Rock Bolter himself. So it's still very much so a work in progress. Keep that in the back of your mind. I will upload a final version of this ride when it is finally done, but yeah, I will leave everyone with the coaster here. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.